What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. Got a great video for you guys today from Rudy Giuliani. Always excited to share about him. Before we jump to this video, just wanted to let you guys know we have a brand new channel linked in the description below. I'm really excited about this channel because along with our normal updates, we're also uploading clips from the White House, from the Senate, wherever. Basically just always getting you guys super up-to-date news along with commentary and everything else we do. So check that out, link in the description below. Let's dive in. So, I wanted to do this video more than anything because Rudy Giuliani has been under like a ton of flack in general. So then he said this statement recently, which I'm about to read, and he was under even more flack, and this time by a lot of conservatives. Basically saying things like, why would you defend him, da 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 da, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I think we've got to understand what he's really saying here, you know? So I wanted to dive into this and hopefully clear the air a little bit with him. Scandal makes strange bedfellows. Republican former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani has come to the defense of embattled Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo amid the latter's sexual harassment scenario, arguing that Cuomo has had his reputation irreparably damaged without due process. Giuliani, who also served as personal lawyer to former President Trump and frequent Cuomo rival, spoke out when independent investigators retained by State Attorney General Letitia James announced their conclusion that Cuomo sexually harassed 11 women in violation of state and federal law. Today's AG James trial by press conference marks the end of due process in constitutional law as we know it in America, tweeted Giuliani. Conviction by press conference, investigative report, and media verdict without a trial became illegal 1,000 years ago. Interesting. In a separate tweet, Giuliani said that Cuomo may well be guilty of the conduct alleged, but that depriving him of the opportunity to defend himself in a court of law runs counter to American ideals. Valid, unfortunately. Cuomo may be guilty, but we used to have trials before convictions, he wrote. That's what Cuomo's Democrat allies denied President Trump. There would be poetic justice if they did that to Cuomo, but it would be unjust, dangerous, and entirely un-American. So you gotta see why he's doing this. I mean, this is essentially, the way I looked at it at least, is God knows what will happen in the future for one, but in this scenario specifically, you know, that was a process that was denied from Trump. And unfortunately, if you just keep letting things like that happen, that level of manipulation keeps happening. Giuliani just wants the law upheld. I guarantee you he wants Cuomo behind bars just as much, if not more than all of us, you know? But he's saying that to say that the system is the system. And once we start to abandon it, it's kind of the, you know, you give an inch, they're going to take a mile. You start to abandon it once and say you're okay with it. Oh, well, it was Cuomo. He's a dirty rat, so whatever. Now they're going to think they can always do that, you know? So that's how I saw this. As if the ideological disparity between the two men didn't make the show sport odd enough, it also comes as Giuliani's son, Andrew, has announced his candidacy to unseat Cuomo. The younger Giuliani issued a statement hours after James unveiled her damning probe results calling for Cuomo's head. First and foremost, the 11 victims of Andrew Cuomo's criminal sex harassment deserve our respect and admiration for bravely stepping forward to tell their stories, despite threats and risks to their reputation and professional careers. Regardless of how Cuomo is trying to discredit you and justify his unacceptable behavior today, we hear you. Knowing that Andrew Cuomo will not give up his access to power and resign, I am calling on the Assembly and Legislature to reconvene to begin impeachment proceedings against him. It is time to protect the State House and all New Yorkers from Cuomo's ongoing misconduct. The governor, 63, has consistently maintained that he has never touched anyone inappropriately. There's like literally pictures of it. Come on, dude. And said recently in a response to one alleged victim's reported interest in filing a suit that he would welcome the opportunity for a full and fair review before a judge and jury. Writing in a third tweet, Rudy Giuliani, who also served as U.S. Attorney for New York Southern District from 83 to 89, agreed. The truth of the charges against Cuomo should be determined by a trial of an impeachment and or an indictment, not the media. While not fully letting Cuomo off the hook, also the covered-up allegations of sending the elderly to death in nursing homes rather than to available safe beds should be tried by a jury. So what he's adding there at the end is, again, really the more important issue. It's been said so many times, I'm going to say it again. The nursing home issue was bigger than the sexual allegations, not to demean anything. One's murder, one's not. You know? So, what Rudy's fighting for here is due process. The legal process. Because he understands how dangerous it is if the media keeps rallying people up looking for heads. You know? It's a dangerous, dangerous game once you start allowing that to happen. He doesn't want that to happen for anyone. He wants everyone to get the same fair process. That's what's American. You know? And then he's also adding, let's not forget that this man is a murderer. But even that, he should be tried fairly. That's part of your rights. Though several prosecutors' offices across the state are investigating the findings laid out in the sexual harassment report, Cuomo has not been charged with a crime or hit with a civil suit in the matter. In an episode on his YouTube show, Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense, the man once dubbed American mayor for his claim in the wake of the terror attacks took aim at James, the AG. The Attorney General of the state of New York has destroyed 800 years of Anglo-American law, he said, trashed it completely and acted like a tyrant. Those are things that happen in fascist governments. They don't happen in a government that is ruled by law. You know, and there's definitely a lot of validity to what he says. You know, that's the thing, is you can't really disagree with him. Because the problem is we live in a system right now where, I'm not even going to say the left, but just the evil powers to be will do anything they can just slowly brainwash people. And this is like another example of it. This is a moment where we've actually got to kind of side with Rudy Giuliani and say, no, due process needs to be upheld, because then guess what happens? A few years down the road or something, some Republican has some issue and they won't want to give him due process, like Trump. Got to be the better party. Got to essentially just be the better person here. You know, it's tough, but like the thing is this whole thing has been kind of orchestrated, it feels like, right? That was what so many conservative channels said from day one, was that the issue is these sex allegations will overshadow the murder, you know? And I just look at it and I'm like, I feel like he was practically groomed to have these allegations, you know? I don't know. Anyways, another little update with Rudy Giuliani. So he was actually seen at a fundraising event with Trump recently, which is funny because everybody's been saying, well, there's been all these reports and books, you know, Trump talked about all the books coming out. They've all been coming out and saying things about how there's actually all this beef and anger between Trump and Rudy Giuliani. Not looking like it. Rudy Giuliani, the lawyer of Donald Trump, embroiled in a series of legal proceedings for his work for the former president, appeared in a political rally with him recently, putting to rest rumors of growing distance between the two men. Mr. Giuliani posted a photo of Mr. Trump speaking at a New York GOP fundraiser in Westchester County, where the former president attacked Andrew Cuomo and spoke in support of GOP gubernatorial candidates Lee Zeldin and Andrew Giuliani, the son of Mr. Giuliani. Love Andrew Giuliani, by the way. I'm really liking what he's about. Mr. Trump also praised the former New York mayor, even as Mr. Giuliani reiterated his unsubstantial claims of you-know-what. Addressing the New York GOP, and it is such a contrast, Mr. Giuliani wrote, Mr. Trump can speak without teleprompters, notes, and handlers, and he accomplished so much in just 4 years, he said. Mr. Trump, on the other hand, while inviting Mr. Giuliani on stage, said, "We love Rudy," according to a tweet by New York Times correspondent Maggie Haberman. He also said Andrew Giuliani, a former professional golfer, is one of the best political golfers. We're going to have a Republican governor, Mr. Trump added. I didn't know that about Andrew. He was a professional golfer? It's pretty cool. The appearance took place after reports of souring of relations between Mr. Trump and his personal lawyer, after the former reportedly refused to pay Mr. Giuliani's legal fees until his cases were successful. Guessing that's rumors. I don't know. Ms. Haberman earlier reported, quoting sources, that Mr. Giuliani is nearly broke and his supporters are aghast that the former president isn't helping him out. Again, pretty sure that's not true at all. Trump aides have been clear that they see no mechanism for paying Giuliani's legal bills that isn't problematic for Trump, and they think Giuliani took actions that lawyers should have known were problematic, even if the client wanted it. No claims, though. Just quoted this anonymous source that, it's what it always is. It's ridiculous. Trump aides have been clear they see no mechanism for paying Giuliani's legal bills that isn't... Okay, Mr. Giuliani has been suspended from practicing law in New York and everywhere else. We all know that, unfortunately. But this is just a part of the game, is they want to turn everyone and everything against Trump. And so they claim that all these guys had, some kind of beef with Trump. They claim that they're all, at ends with him. And then you see him at these events and they look pretty happy with them. And it's just like, it's all just lies, it really is all just political propaganda. So, now going way back, now they're trying to say that Giuliani had no evidence of the Clinton probe, if you guys have been following that for some time. Justice Department's Inspector General said recently, I think this was last Thursday, that it did not find evidence that FBI agents shared inside information about the Hillary Clinton email investigation with Rudy Giuliani. Well, what would that evidence be? The FBI agents? Because they wouldn't lie. The question of whether anyone had leaked information to Giuliani arose after the former New York mayor said in 2016 that then candidate Donald Trump had some pretty big surprises in the coming days. 2 days later, James Comey, the FBI director at the time, revealed that the FBI would reopen the Clinton email investigation following the discovery of new emails. The Inspector General looked into whether anyone had improperly tipped off Giuliani and more broadly examined contacts between FBI officials and reporters during the course of the investigation into whether Clinton had, really, we're still saying that, she did, mishandled classified information on her personal email server. And let's not even say mishandled like it was some kind of accident. That was intentional. We're not idiots. According to a report issued recently, Giuliani told the watchdog office that he had not received any information about the Clinton investigation and that Comey's comments reopening the probe were a shock. I had no foreknowledge of any of them. He said that he hadn't been in contact with any current FBI agents during that month and that the former officials he communicated with did not have information about FBI investigations. As part of the investigations, the Inspector General's office asked the FBI to determine which agents, if any, may have been in touch with Giuliani. The FBI identified 4 employees, but each employee told the watchdog office during interviews they had not had any contact with him. The FBI said that the 4 employees had used their FBI devices to call telephone numbers associated with Giuliani. But the Inspector General's office said that the information was either outdated or meaningless. Yeah, but when you do stuff like that, you'll get killed. If you're an FBI member doing stuff like that for Trump, you'll probably get offed. That's just my honest opinion. So, I get that they would all say they hadn't had contact with them. That's what I would do too. I would lie through my teeth. Because I'm serious. I literally think you'd die. The Inspector General said it had concluded that the phone numbers used by the FBI were for the general line of New York office of the law firm where Giuliani had worked, and that 2 other telephone lines were for business at which Giuliani had not been affiliated with since at least 2007. Huh. Sounds pretty well covered up, honestly. The telephone numbers attributed by the FBI to Giuliani were not therefore specific to Giuliani. The report said, according to the purported investigative leads provided by the FBI based on the alleged FBI employees' contact with Giuliani were inaccurate. So what's interesting is it's like, okay, even if that's all true, that doesn't really invalidate the Clinton probe at all. Still some pretty shady emails. So I think they just try to use this article to like slam Rudy because everyone thought he was the originator of that, and I think he could be, and just, you know, it's covered up pretty well. Or I think he just really wasn't at all. But everybody was convinced that that was the case, so then I think, you know, they just want to smear his name so that the Clinton probe looks, you know, ridiculous. But those emails were nuts. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Good stuff from Rudy Giuliani. I'm especially stoked to see, hopefully, his son in that seat in New York here soon. I'll be really floored if it's still Cuomo at this point, but honestly, maybe not. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out that new channel, linked in the description below. Stay safe out there more than anything, and stay tuned for more updates.